Hello, good evening and welcome to Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, coming to you live from our studio here at Desawe Kanda in Accra. I am Martin Asiedu Dartey. Coming up this evening, Ghana bids final farewell to victims of last week's helicopter crash with a state funeral service. We'll bring you a wrap of what exactly took place today as the country came together in mourning to send off or give a befitting farewell to the victims of last week's helicopter crash. Also coming up, Bolgatanga Technical Institute in the Upper East region closed indefinitely following a violent student protest in the early hours of today. And later, government imposes daily 10,000 Ghana cedi fine on DSTV over failure to submit pricing data. We have details of all these stories and more coming up in the next 1 hour. This is 3FM 92.7. Stay tuned. Let's settle for the details of our stories now. We are starting from the big story that developed earlier today across the country. Every Ghanaian was in mourning, led by the president. There was a solemn state funeral that was held in Accra for all 8 victims of last week's military helicopter crash, capping a week of national grief and mourning. The ceremony, attended by top state officials, also saw the burial of 6 of the victims at the military cemetery. The 8, including 2 cabinet ministers, died when their helicopter went down at Sikaman in the Adanse Eko from district of the Ashanti region while on an official mission in Obuasi. The interfaith service was filled with emotional tributes. We bring you the tributes of the children and spouses, but first let's hear Vice President Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, who called them selfless and committed patriots who gave their all in service to the nation.
Yes, this is one more time to remind ourselves that man proposes, God disposes. My colleagues, I wish all of you peaceful rest. I thank each one of you for your examples of selflessness, commitment to duty, and your abiding belief in the ability of our country to be better for all of us. I pray that we can all gather the strength to say and believe with the hymnist that through the love of God our Savior, all is well. You are always with us, my colleagues, in the business of resetting our country and of guiding our steps through the legacies of humanness, loyalty, justice, dedication, determination, trust, and sheer hard work.
And you heard the voice of Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, who is Ghana's vice president there. Now, President John Dramani Mahama said that their death will never make sense no matter the outcome of the investigations, which he indicates will be thorough.
Our nation will continue to mourn as we find ways to hold. Though I'm sure that individually and collectively, our nation will continue to mourn as we find ways to hold tightly the memories of these men and to honor their legacies. There's no making sense of what happened. Despite whatever technical reasons or official explanations an investigation will yield, A loss of this magnitude and in this manner will never make sense to the grieving heart. What we can do, each of us in our own way, as we try to come to terms with this tragic loss, is to move in the direction of peace within our communities and families, having been reminded of how fragile life can be.
And that's the voice of President John Dramani Mahama, who also honored the 3 helicopter crew members with posthumous promotions and also announced a fund to cater for the education of the children of the departed heroes.
Though I'm sure that individually and collectively, our nation will continue to mourn as we find ways to hold tightly the memories of these men and to honor their legacies. There's no making sense of what happened, despite whatever technical. So it is with all this in mind that I would like today to announce the government's decisions to honor the service of these individuals and secure the futures of those they left behind. I humbly request the spirit of compassion that is the hallmark of our nation for these bereaved families. Promotions in our armed forces are never given lightly, and posthumous promotions are the highest mark of respect for duty performed even unto death. Accordingly, I have approved the following. Squadron Leader Peter Bafemi Anala is promoted to the rank of Wing Commander. Flying Officer Manan Chum Ampedu is promoted to the rank of Flight Lieutenant. Sergeant Ernest Adomensa is promoted to the rank of Flight Sergeant. These are not just symbolic gestures. They represent the rightful place these officers have earned in our Republic's role of honor, and the benefits due to their families will be reflected in these new ranks. The Chief of the Defense Staff will oversee the ceremonial presentation of the posthumous promotion insignias to their families. Our other colleagues who were civilians will be posthumously recognized at the next National Honors Ceremony. The next decision that the government has made is for the creation of a Children's Support Fund for the children of the victims of the 6th August helicopter crash. The purpose of this fund is clear. It is to ensure that the children left behind will never be deprived of the opportunities, the care, and the security that their parents worked so hard to provide for them.
And you heard President John Dramani Mahama there giving clear promotions to the 3 crew members who were members of the Ghana Armed Forces, and indicating that the remaining 6 will also be promoted or given the necessary state honors in due time. There were other tributes that were read on the other events. To start with, let's bring you what exactly the Council of State members said. Their tribute was read by Betty Mould Idrisu.
They were patriots, they were soldiers, they were public officials, gallant officers who served with intelligence, courage, and devotion. Whether in the political field or in the security field or in the skies, they were guided by the highest ideals of sacrifice and love for the country. They brought to their callings competence, experience, and the discipline of duty for a better Ghana. The heartbreaks and tragedy has left a nation and their families and communities with such grief. In this moment of our profound grief, we at the Council of State extend our deepest and heartfelt condolences to the bereaved families, to the government, His Excellency the President, the people of Ghana, the Ghana Armed Forces, the leadership of the political parties, and membership of the NDC. As we bid them farewell, let us remember that their journey did not end in the crash.
And you heard the words of Betty Mould-Idrisu, representing the Council of State, who also paid tribute to the fallen gallant Ghanaians last week. Let's now go to the phone lines and speak to Richard Kumado, who is a security consultant. He's joined us for a quick chat on this. Richard, it's been a heavy day for the entire country, but, well, we may have to just greet you as good evening. How has the day been for you?
It was tough. It was tough to realize that finally, whatever seems to be a rumor, reality has taken place, and our comrades and our security officers have paid a higher price, and they have been buried. They are legacies to live on. Let's pick from the lessons they left for us and let that inspire us to building our nation in a better way for everybody, so that we don't have to die in this manner again.
What are your general thoughts on the entire service? You know, many are praising government for how orderly the entire service went, and then how they also plan to remember these fallen men or gallant men. So what are your general thoughts on the entirety of the service?
You know, that is typical of us. Whether we are playing football or not, we start slowly, then we pick it up from there. From the crash site and how the bodies were carried, and the initial controversies and agitations and accusations and criticism. Once the bodies got to Kumasi and they airlift them to Accra, right from there, everything has been It has followed the standard procedure, followed the party. They give them a befitting burial. They show decency, they show respect, and they show honor. So in that regard, I will agree with everyone who says government did very well. And I think this is the spirit of patriotism. This is the spirit of serving one another, knowing that when you serve, your country will remember you in days such as these. So let's take the lessons from this and let's take it forward. Martin, you remember when they said they were being buried at the military cemetery, and they give how many acres, how many portion was given to the civilians and the military. What came to mind is those guys around that particular area that went after the military land. The country is growing, and our population will no longer be 30 million or 34 million. It means that the military must preserve their land, and once the military is preserving their land, it's not just for the use of the military, but the civilians as well. Today, we saw they were being buried along Kofi Annan, the Vice President Misata, and many of our compatriots who have stepped before us, and they've gone to be with the Lord. So, by and large, yeah, we have initiatives, but I think as a whole, as a nation, we came to the fore and we did what we were supposed to do.
And many were also pleasantly surprised about the posthumous promotions announced by the president. Were you expecting that?
Definitely, yes. Yes, I wasn't surprised at all. Even if you take a clue from Major Mahama, right? I think he wasn't a major before he died. But before the funeral, he was given a promotion to major. Today, everybody calls him Major Mahama. People don't remember the rank he was on before promoting to major. So I wasn't surprised at all. The one that surprised me was the 500,000 at the Stanbic Bank, and how the government intended to open it up, and how government, in the name of accountability, transparency, says corporate organizations and everyone, the international community, to contribute, and not just contributing, but they are going to make the accounts public to the general public, and then how they have used it for a particular year will be made accountable. I think that one I wasn't expecting it, but the promotion, I was glad in any way, and I wasn't surprised at all.
Right. Now let's talk about the fact that investigations are yet to commence, although we know that the president has given clear indications that the investigations will be transparent and thorough. Yesterday, we heard the Foreign Affairs Minister, who is a cabinet minister, give indications that the president has agreed for external assistance in this investigation, where we know that, for instance, he says the black box is still in the custody of the security service or the military, awaiting the external assistance to come in before these investigations commence. How would you advise that they start the whole process, and what kind of outcome are you looking at now that at least a part of the chapter has been closed?
No, the investigation started right from the moment the chopper came down. So what happened is that 3 days ago or 4 days ago, about 70 to 80% of what happened to us is known. What remains the same is known. What is likely to change is also known. And the degree to which it will change, the changes to take place, is known. And the various dimensions were done. When the chopper came down, the first 3 days, all facts were considered and all factual points were analyzed. So if they came to that conclusion, it was that conclusion that they took to government, and the president says that based on what we know now, let's invite others to come in with some technical abilities. Remember, these investigations have various dimensions. The DNA and the other enhanced forensic aspect was done by the South Africans, which is also technical ability they brought in. Predominantly, the black box is supposed to be sent to the Chinese because they are the manufacturers. There are regulatory compliances and there are legal protocols to be followed. If for one reason the Americans would go into an area that ventures into the arena of the Chinese, then it is proper that the legal team at the presidency will do everything possible so that the standardizations and the standard protocols are followed. And it's in that regard. Now, the Americans are not coming to do everything. They are coming in for some technical assistance in specific areas. So the investigations actually have been done by our security agencies, and the results were about 70 to 80% is sent to the president. And Martin, guess what? When the Americans come in or the black box owners come in, there will be a meeting with our security agencies who have done the initial aspect of the investigation. There will be timelines. And even when they finish with the aspect they are asked to do, they'll hold a meeting. We call it the exit meeting. And the report will be discussed among the investigators. I mean, the technical ability people and the Chinese and Americans and whoever is coming in before the report is given to government. So in the dimensions of the investigation, this is where we are. And this is exactly what is going to happen.
Right. So clearly we just need to keep our fingers crossed and see how things play out. Maybe in conclusion, there are speculations that, for instance, the helicopter in question and almost all of Ghana's fleet do not have insurance. You are a security person. You've worked very closely with the security apparatus of the country. Is there any truth to this, and how does that come to you?
It will come up in the investigation report. You are my brother. And if I say it now, you don't let me sleep. You and the no country. You won't let me sleep. So sometimes we wait for you to break the news, and then we come to provide public education and create awareness and offer alternative source of reasoning using best practices. So we'll always wait for Martin, we'll always wait for Portia, we'll always wait for the no country to break the news. But Martin, no matter what it is, it means that going forward, the lives of our people, individuals who have to have life insurance, whether they work in the security agencies or not, is very important. And so that when you die, your family will not have to bear the huge cost of burial. And then again, it's also the case that we need to look at our security agencies again. We have never, as a country, built the capacity of our military and the BNI and the police. The security infrastructure is bad. And we need to look at it again. And Martin, guess what? Politicians realize that the Air Force do not just provide military services, but they provide civilian transportation services. And that is why they were taking advantage. 3 to 4 years now, I was raising the alarm that the pressure we are putting on the transportation system of the Air Force, it might crash and it might give us problems. Nobody took it seriously. Let's go back there. After all this is said and done, let's go back and say, what are we not doing right? Let's do it right. What are we doing right? Let's enhance it. So that we build capacity for many of our security agencies that really need help to survive.
Mr. Kumado, always a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much. Have a good evening. And Richard Kumado is a security consultant and also a former BNI operative, helping us understand the generality of how things went today, the orderliness of the service, the speeches, the honors that were posthumously given to the 3 servicemen, and the fact that a specific fund has been set up for the children of these gallant men who lost their lives last week, Wednesday, the 6th of August. So everybody was in a very somber mood, the entirety of the country, and even the weather in itself was cloudy somewhat, so it wasn't too warm in terms of extremely sunny. There was no rain, but generally you could tell that the country was in deep state of mourning, and we are grateful to God that He's giving us the strength, especially the president and the family of these men, to be able to bid farewell to them. They definitely have been buried, but their memory will live with us for a long time. And on the back of that, we want to bring you some of the tributes that were paid to these men by their respective groupings that they were a part of, and also their specific family members. So we start from the family of the National Democratic Congress that lost 5. I beg your pardon. Yes, that should be 5 of the men on board were members of the NDC. Talk about the ministers and the other unofficial government officials who were on the trip. The NDC paid glowing tribute to them and gave indications that their memory will not be forgotten. So let's listen to what the NDC said.
At the time of his passing, he was the national vice chairman of the NDC, a role he carried out with a quiet dignity, discipline, and unshakable loyalty. A founding member of the NDC in Ashanti region, Dr. Sapon was instrumental in building the party office in Shaisu. He treated all with respect, regardless of political affiliation, creed, or color. His humility endeared him to the grassroots of the party as much as to all national leaders. He's calm, dependable, and meticulous. He was a leader who believed in service above self, a quality rooted in his background as a police officer. Beyond politics, he was installed as Nkosohene of Cape Coast and was a devoted family man, married to Mrs. Hannah Sapon and blessed with 5 children, 4 sons and 1 daughter. On that fateful day, Dr. Sapon's life of service was cut short in the line of duty when he lost his life with 7 other gallant compatriots in a tragic helicopter crash at Sikaman in the Ashanti region. The NDC has lost more than a leader. We've lost a pillar of integrity, a strategist, and a unifier, whose wisdom and courage were invaluable to our cause. His absence leaves a deep void in our collective struggle and the hearts of all who knew him. Dr. Samuel Sapon's legacy will forever be etched in the history of our great party and the memory of the nation he served so faithfully. His life reminds us that true leadership is measured not by titles held, but by the lives we've touched and the values we've upheld. Rest well, comrade. Your work is done, your race is run, and your name will live in the annals of the NDC. Cadets may go, cadets may come, but the revolution has come to stay. Rest in perfect peace.
And that is Fifi Kwete, who is the General Secretary of the National Democratic Congress, paying glowing tribute to Dr. Samuel Sapong. And talking about Dr. Samuel Sapong, his children were also there to pay tribute to him. Let's listen to what they said about their father.
It is hard to put into words what you meant to us. You were more than a father. You were our hero, our role model, our uncle, our friend, and our greatest teacher. You lead a life of purpose, dignity, and unwavering sense of duty, not just us, your children, but to your community and the nation Ghana. We saw how tirelessly you worked, how passionately you served, how deeply you loved everyone around you. Your composure and respect for time at public events speak volume about a man who saw public service as a call to duty. At home, you were gentle, wise, and warm. Your laughter filled our hearts, and your words always pointed us in the right direction. You didn't just tell us how to live, but also showed us the way through our integrity, humility, and strength. The news of your departure pierced through our veins and bones with sudden wave of shock, which we still cannot accept.
And you heard the words of the children of Dr. Samuel Sarpong, who also paid tribute to him. Let's listen to the wife of Dr. Edward Omane Boamah, who was Ghana's defense minister until his demise. His wife also managed to get courage to speak, and this is what she had to say.
Though I was not a medical student, fate brought us together on that fateful day when we boarded the medical school bus. Our friendship started and was nothing short of love and adventure. Our night walks from my home to buy kenke and fish and vice versa. I looked forward to visiting you in school so we could embark on our love walk to buy kenke and fish. Thus, buying kenke and fish together became our hallmark. In fact, I saw a father in you because you were the exact replica of my dad. You also confirmed that when you met my dad the first time, you knew you had a partner for life. I had no doubt you would be a loving and perfect father to our children. You were truly God sent. Your commitment and love were such that you proposed we got married on my birthday. And we have always had a double celebration on my birthdays, which I was looking forward to this year also. When we started having children, you were nothing short of a wonderful father. You were a great source of hope to me and the children. Despite your busy schedule as a medical doctor and later in your political roles, you either bathed the children every morning or dressed them up whilst I bathed them. You were their favorite teacher, because you knew all their syllables back to back. You always had a strict timetable for their private studies, yet made room for play and adventure. You were truly a family man, a definition of a genuine person with a pure heart of gold. In our years of marriage, you always asked, Abner Rita, what will you do when I am not around? I never answered. Until today, I don't have an answer. I will, with God's help, take care of mommy and the 3 kids. Knowing who you are, I believe you will be looking down on us to guide us through from the heavens. Kofi B, thank you for loving me. Thank you for loving the children. Thank you for loving my family and all who came to know you.
And that is the tribute from the wife of Dr. Edward Omane Boamah when she had the opportunity to share the thoughts with the nation. The Speaker of Ghana's Parliament, Alban Bagbin, also spoke briefly about how he knew these men, some of them, and then also some who, or one of them who was a member of Parliament, how closely he had worked with him. Let's listen to what the Speaker said.
They were the loving hands that cradled children, the wise voices that guided families, the charitable hands that fed families and whole communities, the compassionate hearts that uplifted our dear country. Just days ago, many of these fallen heroes stood among us, united in grief as we bid farewell to our dear friends and comrades Kobina Adekoka, and Sam P. Yale. Like us, these fallen heroes came to honor the memory of their compatriots and to say goodbye to comrades they cherished. None of them imagined then that their end would follow hard on the heels of Adekoka and Sam Yale. This cruel twist of fate has left me heartbroken and heavy with sorrow. As I lay these fragrant blossoms of memorabilia on their graves to signify their impactful existence, let us take cognizance of the fact that they were once ministers, gallant soldiers, whose visionary policies sowed seeds of progress, that we once had technocrats whose expertise steered our nation's course, that dear colleagues, parliamentarians once lived, whose interventions sparkled with insights, and that 3 courageous helicopter crew members once existed who served with diligent dedication all their final briefs. The heavens may have claimed their mortal forms, but their legacy remains etched in the laws they championed.
Alban Kingsford Sumana Bagbin is Ghana's Speaker of Parliament, and he also shared thoughts on how he knew some of the men and then what Parliament makes of their passing. This is still 3FM 92.7. We are live around the world on 3news.com. That's our website. This is Hot Edition, coming to you live from our studio here at Adesanwe Kanda in Accra. So my colleague Christian Yali was at the event ground, sampled thoughts of a number of the people who had gathered there, and has come through with this report, which starts by saying that she went to the Black Star Square quietly, away from the spotlight. A mother was full of gratitude while grieving. The late Dr. Omane Boama paid for the surgery of her son, whose life was not predicted. Christian Yali tells the story and other mourners who sounded the legacy of the fallen heroes.
She stood among the mourners with no titles, no convoy, no cameras, but just a grateful heart. Her son, who had a deformity, was saved through the benevolence of the late Defense Minister, Dr. Edward Omane Boama. The boy's leg is amputated and he will soon be due for a prosthetic surgery.
My son, Seto Midoji, he paid for his hospital bills. So when I heard about his death, it pains me a lot, because a person I never meet, I never know, and he can do all this for my son. It's not easy. What I have for him is, may his soul rest in perfect peace.
The call was like, this is Dr. Omane Boama. So beginning I thought even it was a fraud or something, but later on he sent us money to bring the boy to the hospital so that they can take the process on. He paid the surgery on Monday. The Tuesday the surgery was done, and then on the Wednesday he was involved in a plane crash.
President Mahama, in his speech at the funeral service, mentioned this child.
Sometimes we even pay for the medical cost of children who are complete strangers to us. And that is what Dr. Omane Boama did when he pledged to pay for surgery for Seto, a physically disabled 9-year-old boy, so that he would no longer be reliant on the wheelchair that he had been using to get around. After fully paying for the surgery, Omane could have continued with his own affairs and not giving another thought to the boy or his situation.
Stories unfolded, strangers embraced, some wept for these fallen men they had never met.
At the personal level, I might not have really engaged most of those who were dead that much, but you see, they were public figures, and the pain of their loss probably would not be different from someone who's even direct family, especially looking at how tragic you wouldn't even wish that for your enemy, you know.
And we believe that while we are here to send a signal to everybody, to mourn with everybody, and let them know that this thing that has happened should teach us a very bitter lesson.
I haven't really had any personal encounter with them, but yeah, I bear in their soul with them. Yeah.
We should, draw a lesson from this funeral. We should all come together, fight as one body to see the brighter future of our nation. The politics and those things, the divisive, the tribalism and the religious trouble is not helping any of us.
Beyond the tributes, security was tight, mounted patrols and drones in quiet surveillance.
These 8 have departed in glory, in full honor and all the dignity that they deserve. Their lives, the legacies and those that they touched continue to live on.
And that's a report by Christian Yali from the event grounds. Let's go on to our other headline story we have for you this evening. And the Bolgatanga Technical Institute in the Upper East region has been closed indefinitely following a violent student protest in the early hours of Friday. The unrest, which erupted around 12:30 at dawn, left 6 students injured and caused extensive damage to school property, including the burning of the library and the senior housemaster's office. Sources say the chaos was triggered by the suspension of 6 students for alleged misconduct. In an apparent act of retaliation, their colleagues reportedly launched a coordinated attack on the school late Thursday night. Police and fire service teams were quickly deployed to restore order and douse the flames. The injured are currently receiving treatment in the Upper East Regional Hospital. The Regional Security Council ordered the school's closure to help calm tensions and aid ongoing investigations. Meanwhile, police are looking for the 6 students believed to have played a key role in the violence. Let's go to the phone lines now and speak to Castro Senyala, who has been following this story for us. Castro, good evening. Thank you for joining us. To start with, does the school know the identity of the suspended students and the people who must have perpetrated this act?
Yes, Martin, good evening to you. Yes, I can confirm that the school authority knows those students that were suspended, even though we understand that the school authority and, in fact, the RECSEC is trying as much as possible to, sort of use diplomacy in the bid to calm tensions as investigations are ongoing. I can report that, yes, efforts are being made by the RECSEC and being led by the police, obviously, to see how they can bring the situation under control. First of all, by deploying a lot of men, security men in the campus of the state, the school, and also to apprehend these 6 people who we understand are behind the arson that's completely destroyed. The headmaster's, the senior housemaster's office and that of the school library, destroying a lot of books that would run into thousands of Ghana cedis.
Right, and so Castro, we are also streaming on Facebook, so those who are listening to us can also log on to Facebook, 3FM on Facebook, and see the images. But for those who are unable to describe, what kind of damage are we talking about?
Yes, Martin, this I would say is the largest damage ever reported on when it comes to student protests in the Upper East region, because the damage is extensive. Talk about vehicles belonging to the school, talk about the entire library has been burnt down, a library that has been, in the school has been a major facility of the school for over 20 years, was raised down yesterday because the students were angry. Talk about desks, tables and chairs. Talk about the senior housemaster's office. Everything gone within a minute. I think we were an eye because the students were unhappy that their colleagues had been suspended for a misconduct that we are yet to learn what the real, issue is. And then we have polytanks and anything else that the school could see. The school tricycle that is usually being used to transport, smaller objects, like when they want to go to town to pick something that would use to feed they themselves. That tricycle was also damaged and in fact overturned and left outside the school campus. a lot of things were destroyed by the angry students who, as we speak now, have been dispersed, and the police are very much present in the school campus to ensure that these people do not come back to cause destruction. Martin, mind you, earlier this morning, the students wanted to, start what they, continue what they started last night, but for the timely intervention of the police and that of the Ghana, the Ghana National Fire Service, who were on the campus in their numbers, they were able to, douse the situation and bring it under control and did all they could to disperse the students. And so, Martin, if we talk of damage, it is huge. The damage is huge, and you can see that the RESEC and local authorities here are really disturbed because that particular school is known for student riots almost every year. And so the discussions and the calls from the people of the region is that something needs to be done so that they arrest the situation once and for all.
Right, Castro. The images are very shocking, and it's very unfortunate that students who are sent to school to learn would undertake such an unfortunate activity. But thank you. We'll be definitely coming back to you for updates on what exactly the Regional Security Council and the school authorities intend to do next. Castro Senyala is our regional Upper East regional correspondent, updating us on the decision of the Bolgatanga Technical Institute leadership to close down the school indefinitely following some violent actions taken by a number of the students. We are told 6 of them were suspended, which led to a number of the students taking the law into their own hands and destroying school property. And but for the intervention of the security services, that is the Ghana Police Service and the Fire Service, we are told that the damage would have been more sad or serious as compared to what we are seeing in the pictures and videos that we have been able to see so far. Would update you subsequently, but you can go to 3news.com. You'll get to see some of the pictures for yourself. And this comes on the back of several months of reports of student violence on various campuses and how it seems as though lawlessness is creeping back to our second cycle institutions, and something ought to be done and done immediately. Away from that, before we bring you business, the Multi-Choice Ghana DSTV will pay 10,000 Ghana cedis per day as a fine for failing to submit critical pricing information requested under the Electronic Communications Act. The application of the statutory fine by the Ministry of Communication, Digital Technology and Innovation will take effect from today, according to Sector Minister Samuel Nate George. In a meeting with Multi-Choice Ghana, he mentioned that the data, including a breakdown of bouquet prices, tax components and comparisons with at least 6 other African countries, was requested to support a meaningful engagement on reducing subscription fees for Ghanaian customers. According to the minister, DSTV had been granted an extension until Monday, the 11th of August 2025 to submit the information, but failed to meet the deadline. The ministry had earlier indicated that if no price reduction was achieved by 6th September 2025, DSTV's operating license could be suspended. This follows the company's refusal to commit to lowering subscription fees despite the ministry's proposals. And that debate continues, especially for those who've been following on social media. The hashtag Reduce DSTV Price Now has been in the trends for some time now. And there has been a back and forth between the ministry and DSTV's mother company, Multi-Choice. And we are told that a lot of back of the envelope conversations and negotiations have been ongoing. We will definitely wait to see what exactly will happen. But on the back of the deadline that was given to DSTV to reduce its prices, there has been a final 30-day extension for them, and we wait to see what that would also bring up. But as we speak, effective today, DSTV will be paying 10,000 Ghana cedis every day to government following their failure to submit a pricing data that the ministry requested from them. So we'll keep you updated on how all of this plays out in the coming days. This is still 3FM 92.7. Up next, though, will be the latest in the world of business. And after business, we'll be having a quick chat with the sports team as we all build up to this weekend's sporting action. For the football lovers, you know that the English Premier League and many other leagues around the world will be starting this weekend. So we that love football are excited about it going into the weekend, although we are still in mourning. But we'll keep our fingers crossed to see which team will be lifting the trophy at the end of the season. But now it's time for business.
Good evening and welcome to the business news on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7 with me, Bismarck Ausa. Coming up tonight, Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies projects petrol and LPG prices to rise slightly from August 16, while diesel prices are expected to drop. This story and others lined up for you. Please stay. Thanks for your company. Now to the details. Petrol and liquefied petroleum gas LPG prices are expected to rise from August 16, while diesel will see a slight decline. This is according to projections from the Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies. The following 3 Business News Desk report has the details.
Oil Marketing Companies, COMAC, projects that petrol would rise between 0.39 and 2.71% per litre, with LPG increasing by up to 2.34% per kilogram. Diesel, however, is expected to fall by 0.72% per litre. The chamber attributed the mixed outlook to a 0.8% depreciation of the cedi against the US dollar from 10 cedis 68 pesos to 10 cedis 77 pesos, alongside divergent trends in global product prices. COMAC further attributed the changes to a 0.8% depreciation of the cedi against the US dollar and mixed trends in global fuel prices. Diesel prices on the international market fell by 5.22%, while petrol went up by 1.89%. LPG went up by 2.87%. Industry players also pointed to government's recently introduced 1 cedi levy on petroleum products as adding upward pressure on fuel prices. While the measure forms part of broader revenue mobilization efforts, its impact has come amid already strained household budgets, with inflation still above the central bank's target range. Fuel prices feed directly into food and consumer price inflation, and any sustained upward movement could complicate the Bank of Ghana's efforts to anchor inflation expectations and maintain policy credibility. Fuel prices feed directly into food and consumer price inflation, and any sustained upward movement could complicate the Bank of Ghana's efforts to anchor inflation expectations and maintain policy credibility.
And that was a 3 Business News Desk report on petrol and LPG prices projected to rise slightly from August 16, while diesel prices are expected to drop. And that brings us to the end of the Business News on Hot Edition 3FM 92.7 with me, Bismarck Ausa. For more business stories, please check out our website 3news.com. Bill is here. For sports, please stay.
Hello there, good evening and welcome to the sports segment here on the 3FM Hot Edition. My name is Bill Ishen. Now, the European football season is officially back, but before we go into it, Kudus in the last few days has been dazzling for Tottenham Hotspurs, breaking the hearts of West Ham United fans after completing his move to the North London side. Now, we spoke to the head of Ghanaian Hammers to gauge the mood of the West Ham fans in Ghana after Kudus' exit.
Always wanted to play at the highest level. How big the club is, the history in the Champions League as well. So it's a big moment.
Mohamed Kudus in recent days has been dazzling in the Tottenham Hotspur kit after completing a £55 million move from West Ham United. The 25-year-old was a crown jewel for the Hammers after joining them in 2023, providing eye-catching performances over 2 seasons. His presence at the London club gave Hammers Ghana fans immense joy.
Signing Kudus has marketed Ghana a lot. Not only even in London, in any part of UK, we could see that the star boy. Look at that stool. It's a benchmark now. And then the celebration that he went to the tagline sometimes sat on advertisement board. Ghana copied it. It went well wide, you understand. And it has also made us a great time to also brought in a Ghanaian Hammers merchandise. They was buying it to the stadium. Even our Ghanaian Hammers flag. There was a time that people were purchasing it online from us. So like we ourselves has also made, let me just say, a good name to ourselves through Kudus.
When his exit was confirmed, fans abroad burnt his jerseys, branding him Judas for his perceived disloyalty. But the Ghanaian midfielder had his reasons. Despite moving to a rival team, Hammers Ghana faithful believe his performances with the club has paved the way for Ghanaian players to feature at the London Stadium in the next few years.
And in the future, we know they are looking at also considering Ghana as a hub of talent through what Kudus has done for the club.
The former Ajax midfielder spent 2 seasons at the London Stadium, scoring 19 goals and providing 13 assists in 80 matches. One of his standout performances was his solo goal in the Europa League, which earned him the Goal of the Tournament award. But this campaign, Kudus' focus would be to make an impact with the Lily Whites. That was a report there by my colleague Rabi Edu Ejay. Now the Premier League is about to begin in about 1 hour, and the first game will be between champions Liverpool and Bournemouth. Their lineups are already out. For Liverpool, Alisson will be in goal, Jeremy Frimpong, Konate, Van Dijk and Kerkes in defence. In midfield we have Szoboszlai, McAllister, Mohamed Salah, Florian Wirtz, Gakpo, and in attack we have Ekitike there. And for Bournemouth, they have Petrovic in goal, Truffert, Sinesi, Hill and Smith in defence. In midfield, Scott, Adams, Semenyo, Chavinier, Brooks, and in attack we have Evan Nielsen. And speaking of Antoine Semenyo, former Black Stars player Lai Kingston believes that Antoine Semenyo is the best Ghanaian player in the last season.
So for me, for some time now, Semenyo has been our best player for Ghana. He's been our best player. I was a little bit worried about him because of the way we use him in our national team, because sometimes we don't give him that kind of freedom to operate the way he was doing in his club. You can see he's been very consistent with his club. Bournemouth last season is their best player. in the Premier League. But when you watch Semenyo, the way Bournemouth is using him and he's giving them results, when it comes to the national team, I think they restrict him from doing what he can do. You know, so for me, he's been our best players in the Premier League, and then in Europe as a whole, he did so well, more than any other Ghanaian player in Europe.
That was Lyakis in there speaking on Antoine Semenyo. Now, with regards to Liverpool, the defending champions, their manager Ancelotti believes that this season will be more challenging than ever.
Yeah, but the reason why that is so difficult lays mainly in the fact that there are so many competitors that can also win the league over here. So to win it once is already very special, let alone if you can win it twice in 3, 4, 5 years, or as we did twice in 5 years, and City did even better than us in the last few years. So that's unbelievable if you're able to do this in this league. And probably this year it's going to be harder than every year before, because every team brings in new players, but our main competitors definitely did as well.
That was Ancelotti, the head coach of Liverpool. And also for a team that narrowly has missed out on the Premier League on 3 consecutive occasions, Arsenal, Mikel Arteta has stated that they will keep digging until they find gold.
Yeah, you keep digging, and you have to be digging because one day the gold is going to be there, you know, and that's all the time. When I've been tough, when I've been educated, and that's it. For 3 seasons we have more points than any other team in this league, which is incredible. So that's all about the consistency. Now we have to do it in a season to earn 1 more point, to the same amount of points and more goals difference than any other team. That's the objective.
That was Mikel Arteta, the head coach of Arsenal. Let's move on to the camp of Manchester, where Ruben Amorim, the head coach of the side, has stated that he has learnt a lot in the last season with the club. Now, Manchester United finished in the bottom half of last season and are hopeful of making a Champions League place this season.
I learned a lot last season. One of the things that I learned is that I don't need to focus a lot in the future. That doesn't matter. I don't care. I just want to win against Arsenal, to focus on Arsenal. And I need to live day by day, like my players, and focus in each game. So I learned that everything that gets a little bit noise to our team, I have to take out of the picture. So I just prepare to coach my team against Arsenal.
Speaking there, bringing an end to the sports segment here on the 3FM Hot Edition. Back to you, Martin.
Well, thank you very much, Bill. But we know many of us are looking forward to the weekend.
Yeah.
What are your personal expectations?
Oh, I expect Arsenal to wallop Manchester United on Sunday. Yeah, at Old Trafford.
Wishes. I like the fact that United wanted Gyökeres and he chose to go to Arsenal.
Yes.
We also have our own Sesko.
Yes.
So it's going to be a battle of which of the strikers would be scoring. But it's going to be a very tasty weekend and we look forward to it. But at the end of the season, who is give me your top 4.
Arsenal winners, Liverpool second, Manchester City third, Chelsea fourth. Yeah.
What kind of... So United is not going to be...
Oh, no. United is not in top 4.
So my top 4,
yes.
Manchester United will be third. Because we want to enter the top 4.
Okay.
Our hopes are not too high. Yeah. We are not there yet. We're still constructing the team. So at least we'll be third. But then I probably would tip, not Arsenal, but Liverpool. Liverpool could probably nick it again. So Liverpool, Manchester City, Manchester United, and then Arsenal will be fourth.
You're dropping us from second to fourth.
If you like, we can bet on this and see how the end of the season will look like. But thank you very much, Billy Shen, for bringing us the latest in the world of sports. And that's how we wrap up the bulletin. It came your way from our studio here at Adisanwe Kanda in Accra. I am Martin Asiedu Dartey. This has been Hot Edition. Regular programming continues. Thank you for staying in.